Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salalo Makwidi. The time is 26 minutes past 9 Central African time. And we're going to be switching gears now to a very, very important part of the show. The first weeks of the new year have already delivered some major geopolitical shocks. Questions about sovereignty in Latin America, territorial integrity in the Horn of Africa, and democratic credibility in the eastern part of Africa. On the surface, these stories seem almost worlds apart, but beneath them runs the same fault lines: power, external influence, international law, and who ultimately gets to decide a country's future. And to help us unpack this, I'm joined by Dr. David Matsanga, a political scientist, international law expert, and conflict resolution who specializes in international relations, and is also a specialist from the Pan African Reform Limited and Associates. And we're going to be looking at three very important, as I mentioned, flashpoints that could seem ultimately shape 2026. We're going to be looking at Venezuela. We're going to be looking at the African continent, Somaliland, and Israel's involvement. And we're also going to be looking at the upcoming elections in Uganda, which are very imperative. And the doctor is joining us for our virtual platform. It's going to be a very important, insightful conversation that you don't want to miss. Doc, good morning. Welcome to News and Views. Thank you so much for giving us the time. Really appreciate it.
Good morning. I'm very first of all apologize to you that I was on a flight up to one of the cities in the Gulf states on other meetings, and I was not able to take up your show. But I promised you I'll be here. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, the globe.
We are here now, and I'm really looking forward to chatting to you because there's so much to unpack. I think 2026 started in a way that not many of us expected. Hence, I want to start the conversation by looking at Venezuela, where essentially the role of external powers, i.e. the United States of America, continues to dominate the political and legal conversation. From your international law perspective, how should the world, especially those of us from the global south, understand sustained external pressure, sanctions, legal actions, and political interference on a sovereign state like Venezuela, where their president, Nicolas Maduro, is essentially kidnapped? They went into the country and took him away.
Thank you very much for bringing that subject of Venezuela. We opened the year with Venezuela's president being kidnapped, abducted, renditioned. Don't forget that good word, rendition. This guy, it is against international law to rendition. And after the Second World War in 1945, we formed the League of Nations, which proceeded to United Nations. Why did we form the League of Nations? To stop any further world war to come ever. But it looks like we are having another Hitler coming out, showing us signs. Look at the signs of Trump. Territory, oil, minerals. Wherever he smells them, he goes for them. That's what Hitler used to do in Germany. He took all the gold from Europe and left with nothing, then started killing people. So I moved to the International Court of Justice to seek an adversary opinion under Article 65 of the ICJ that empowers organizations that work with humanitarian basis, human rights, political governance, and so on to seek opinion. And this crucial opinion will help the world on how to understand the international law, which boundaries should a country come and pick a president, fabricate story, take him in and lock him up with his wife. How far do we go? So that adversary opinion was received by the ICJ. I placed it on 5th of which is here, and I have received quite a lot of good response from the Secretary General. They are working on it. It will come out. It is very important for you to know that it is the formation of the United Nations was to stop any further incursions in the territory, violation of international law, violation of sovereignty, which you have talked about, which America has violated. And if we don't stop America now, it could come and pick up Mr. Ramaphosa, take him, and we have nothing to do. Yes, because his focus is on South Africa.
I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that, Doc, because you are slowly encroaching on my next point and my next question, especially looking at the African continent. As you mentioned, Donald Trump seems to have a keen interest. He has a close eye on South Africa. He's also, seem to have interest in Nigeria. In the latter part of 2025, we saw those United States of America coordinated attacks in parts of Nigeria. How should Africa interpret this turn of events? How should we respond to them, and what should we prepare ourselves and how should we prepare ourselves to mitigate an eventuality like that of Venezuela happening to us? Because we seem to be an easy target at this current moment. It's a similar modus operandi, lies being fabricated, as you mentioned, a white genocide in South Africa, a Christian genocide in Nigeria, where America needs to come and be the savior of those people. Very, very influential, very, very rich countries on the African continent, Nigeria and South Africa. And it feels like these two countries could be the next target for Donald Trump's imperial mission that he has.
He has syndrome of imperial mission, exactly. Syndrome, traits of anthropological traits of capture of land. Anthropological traits of capture of oil, diamonds, gold. That is, Trump has reached that level. But the point that you are raising, especially on South Africa, you can see someone has fabricated that the white farmers in South Africa are being killed, which is not the case. The killings in South Africa are no more like the killings in New York. There is no genocide against any white farmer in South Africa. There is no more burglary, no more robbery, which happens in anybody in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, where somebody comes in and waves pangas and catches you, takes some property. That is happening. In America, if you walk at night in some places, you are killed. But there's no genocide there. But Trump is building up a case against South Africa, isolating South Africa, the only hope of Africa. Trump is resurrecting apartheid. We had forgotten all about apartheid, but he's bringing it back slowly because the Africans are not stupid. Mandela told us to keep quiet about apartheid, and we move on. We moved on from 1994. We liberated South Africa, most of us, from the north, Uganda. My country played a big role in giving ANC bases to fight against apartheid. Therefore, we must, under Article 2, Section 4 of the United Nations Charter, Trump has violated all those norms. But what can Africa do? One question you have asked there. What can Africa do? We are helpless. The African Union functioned when Madame Dlamini Zuma was still there. Did you know that? Your listeners better know. The only woman who worked so hard, so well, brought the African Union to the level of being feared in the world was Madame Dlamini Zuma. When she left, it was captured. It has been captured by foreign non-state parties that are not African. They direct where to go. So African Union is helpless. It doesn't have any, for example, if Trump came and picked any president on African Union, on African continent, African Union will just sit and clap. They have nothing to do. We don't have an army. We are not united. We have no response. We are still looking at America for survival. Look at Congo, DRC Congo. Should we go to America to sign the documents in order for DRC Congo to have peace? No. Why should we do that? We have African Union. Indeed, we are not prepared, as you said. Our preparedness of reaction, we are not proactive, we are reactive. And our reactiveness is zero, even we cannot do it. So I'm telling you, we are vulnerable to Mr. Trump. On question of Nigeria, quickly, Nigeria's situation is bad. It is horror. The entire Nigeria is finished. In fact, you see it on the map, but the inside is gone. The terrorists have infiltrated institutions in Nigeria. They have finished it. It's finished. They can kidnap you anytime. In fact, you, when you go there, you look like that, the way you are looking, driving on any of the road, you might not survive. Nigeria is a state without, is a country without a country in political sense, a state without a state. That means there is no governance. People are kidnapping each other. Boko Haram, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, they are all uniting, coming back there against Christian. That one, there is a reason for Trump to say, well, I must go in. But in all, there is something that is growing, and that something is the breakdown of international law. We have an international law broken down by a superpower. At the center of the United Nations Security Council is dead. UN is dead. It's dead. Two countries, two super countries, Russia, China, against Britain, America, France. They are supposed to keep peace under Chapter 7. Chapter 7, Article 39, 40 of the United Nations Charter. Where is the peace? The man wants to grab Greenland. Look at that. He has finished. He wants to even control Venezuela. He wants to take it. He wants to collect the taxes. He wants to sell the oil. This is one man. You know, I have taken a stand, and I'm not bothered. I don't need a visa to go to America. Neither do I need to study in a university in America. I've studied in a university in the United Kingdom to the highest iota on planet Earth. I'm a happy man. I don't need anything anywhere from Harvard. I studied in a better university in the United Kingdom. So what can he do? Nothing. If he doesn't want me to come to America, I don't need to go there. The problem is Africa has not developed how to answer back. I'm very happy with this, the boys in West Africa, Sahel region.
The Sahel region.
Back. Yes, they're answering back. Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Matsanga has brought that revolution there. They're answering back. They have answered back. No American should come to those states. America does not have crooker-back. Do you have a crooker-back? You have very nice crooker-back with animals. There are no good animals in America to see. No. So Africa should start, ANC should stand up, start working like the ANC of the people that I know. The previous men I've worked with, the Thabo Mbekis, the Mandela that I saw. Let's have ANC standing up to say, you touch us, we don't want your people here. Yes, it is working in Burkina Faso. You don't go there now. No American can give a visa to enter there. It is up to you. You can't see the tombs of Timbuktu in Mali. One of the places, when they tell you it is 5 million years, you can't go there. So there are things in Africa which we can do to fight back, to reciprocate the American type of hegemony and the stubbornness that they are causing in heaping visa. Do you know what worries me as an African? Please, you give America a visa-free entry in South Africa. But then you want Matsanga to apply for a visa to come to South Africa. What a shame. What a shame.
No, most definitely. One last question as I wrap up the conversation on Venezuela and the US before we transition to other very, very key points. Can we safely say that with the collapse, as you mentioned, of the ICJ, with the collapse of the UN, are we in a chapter of a slow death of multilateralism as we've known and understood it to be the core and heart of diplomacy, and a new kind of structure needs to emerge from this?
Multilateralism is dead. Where is it now? If you don't want people to be in WHO, what unites us is disease. So the man has withdrawn. The man has withdrawn from Habitat. The man has withdrawn from ILO. The man has withdrawn from everything. So there's nothing in common with us, with Americans. Yes, there's nothing. In a few months to come, there will be nothing common. Americans will not be attending the WHO conference. America will not be attending the ILO conference, WHO, World Health Food WFP, World Food Organization. All these agencies, they have withdrawn. Multilateralism is gone. So the other powers left must rebuild the confidence, because the Americans themselves have lost the confidence. An American passport is going to be more dangerous to use anywhere in the world. And this one, I want to say it so that it is on record. Trump must know that in these 4 years, you are creating a very bad precedent for your American passport user, because in some parts in the world, the Americans will be looked at as enemies. So the earlier we stand up and say no. That's why I went to the ICJ after the abduction and the kidnap and the renditioning of Maduro and the wife. Surely you go and take a man and a wife. You have destroyed the family. What humanity is there? What has the wife done? If the man was conducting business, why do you harass the wife? These are human rights things that we must not allow America to bulldoze us. There are people who clap, but Trump is looking for oil. He's looking for gold. There is no project that Trump has fulfilled properly. Where is it? Show me. In the DRC Congo, the rebels have gone back to Uvura and captured it again. They are saying, come, bring it on. You can be powerful in the air. America, let me tell you about America. You can shoot people from air. But when you come to the ground, like in Latin America, you must go back in black bags. Yes, because there are people prepared for you on the ground. You can't manage unless you kill everybody. That's why they cannot come to Congo and shoot. The Congolese rebels have taken everything, my brother. They have taken a territory 3 times bigger than South Africa, or 2 times bigger than South Africa. They control it now. They say, bring it on. There was nothing that they signed in this is all hogwash of what they signed in Washington. It's useless. There is nothing you can do in that Congo. And therefore, multilateralism is dead.
On that note, I want to move on to another big story that has caught the attention of the world, also end of 2025, beginning of 2026, in the Horn of Africa. We saw Israel become the first country to recognize Somaliland, and Somalia also taking some very, very dramatic steps when it comes to cancelling all kinds of agreements it had with the UAE, accusing it of undermining their national sovereignty, because they've also come out to strongly support the independence of Somaliland. What do we make of the current state of affairs in the Horn of Africa, the vested interest of Israel on the African continent, and the United Arab Emirates' presence and influence on the continent, whether it's in Somalia, Somaliland, the Horn of Africa, or also coming into Central Africa and Sudan also?
First of all, I would begin, it is a combination, it's a cocktail of disaster in that region, what I can call a cocktail of disaster. There is America supporting Burhan in Saudi Arabia. But America does not want Black African countries to organize RSF, such that RSF can sit on table. You cannot do peace talks when you don't have people sitting on table. to put their political programs as to why they are fighting. That is one. Then there is a cocktail of disaster that where Israel has now recognized Somaliland. And Israel has a right to recognize any country in the world that seems to be their policies, their foreign policy. There's nothing wrong with that, with me. There is something wrong with people who criticize it, yet they can also either refuse or recognize. Somaliland goes back to the question of partitioning of Africa, which I have written a long paper, journal. You can look for it. Part of the problem of Africa current conflict is wrong partitioning of Africa. Brother, we are partitioned when we are not on table. Now time has come for us to say, what do we do since we are not on table? Can we rearrange ourselves? Problems are very many of countries similar to Somaliland. The question of Biafra, for example, in Nigeria, you know it, is about 90 million people subjected to few individuals who were amalgamated, whose agreement of 100 years elapsed. But because of oil, the British and the French and Americans are kept quiet. The question of Southern Cameroon, you know there are so many Cameroonians in your country who have fled Southern Cameroon. Again, partitioning. The question of Somaliland, partitioning. The question of DRC, partitioning. The question of Sudan, partitioning again. South and the North, black and Arabs. See that Africa needs to go back to look at the African Union constitutive arrangement. Does it serve us in the 21st century? Is it serving us? Or we must rearrange ourselves to avoid the conflict. When it comes to the UAE, UAE is one of the countries in the Middle East. When they come to your doorsteps, they are very good people. They have very genuine things that they want to do for you. If they come to invest in your port, they will do it extremely very well. Qatar, whenever you see it, run very fast, because Qatar has double agency. It comes while it is also supporting Hamas, while it is also supporting Hezbollah. You know, you don't know what Qatar does. UAE is straightforward. There are people who have invested in this port. They have done the port. It is a very good port and peaceful. Can somebody tell me the reason as to why Somaliland is peaceful? You can sleep outside in Somaliland with your $10,000 with the door open in a hotel. Nobody will pick it. But in Mogadishu, you must have 4 doors. 4 doors. Yes, because Ugandan troops are in Mogadishu. My Ugandan troops are the ones who safeguard Mogadishu. If they withdraw from Mogadishu, it will collapse in one day. If they withdraw. Yes, so why if there is a place which is safe without terrorism, what is wrong with them saying, no, we don't want your problems? We have to go back and see 1990, 1991 and 1960, the independence of Somalia and Somaliland. That's where the crisis is. And again, it goes AU. They did a fact-finding mission to find out that Somaliland had genuine questions. Let's go back and announce it. They have not announced it. Again, AU has created as a problem in Somalia. That's why you see countries now, Israel. Israel is coming there, of course. Where Israel is, you know, it's America. And America is coming. So one of the things that I am happy about is their main target. I've read their foreign policy ahead of them. I'm not Mossad or CIA. I don't operate in those agencies. But I have read, as a scholar, I've seen them, what they want to do. They want to wipe up Al-Shabaab. And they will gain support. If they come for Al-Shabaab, they will gain support. And that is going to happen. They are going to, you just give it a few days, a few months, you'll see Al-Shabaab wrapped out, finished in that area. They will bomb them very soon. And that is what they are aiming at. So this recognition could be seen as negative for Somalia, but positive for the fight against terrorism in the region and in the Horn of Africa, which has got a cocktail of disaster. And to wind up on that one of the things that I must criticize, each country that is coming to Somalia is making a base. They are making a base instead of pacifying. Let's pacify Somalia, not make a base, a permanent base. Egypt has arrived, has made a base. Turkey has arrived, it has made a base. Qatar has come, has made a base. Other countries, America now wants also a base there. China is fighting for a base there. So if we are going to fight for a base without fighting the terrorists, how shall we develop? How will there peace come in Somalia? That is the problem in summary of the Horn of Africa.
Dr. David Matsanga, unfortunately, we have run out of time. I'll talk to my producers to make sure that we get you back. I still want to talk about Uganda, the elections in your country and how those could pan out. But we have run out of time. Thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll chat. I want to chat about Uganda and get your perspective on it. The extension of power by your President Museveni. And
there is no extension of power. There's no extension of power. The political parties in Uganda, in the summary, the political opposition is ghost opposition. They don't have opposition. They are not united. They cannot defeat a man who has structures. How will you defeat him? Museveni is going to come very, very strong. He's going to win between 60 to 70%. He'll win this vote by Saturday. Good morning.
Dr. David Matsanga, thank you so much for chatting to us. We have run out of time. We're going to take a quick break. News and Views will return after this.